everybody, my name is Elizabeth and I'm a librarian here at the LSC Tomball Community Library. Welcome back to Screenshots, which is the series where I recommend to you great movies that you can watch for free with your library card. Now, like I just said, on this series we typically talk about movies, but you don't need me to tell you that we watch a lot more than full-length feature films. In fact, there's a good chance you watch way more TV than you do movies, and I can't fault you for that. Film critic David Bianculli said that we're actually living in what he calls the platinum age of TV, beginning in the 90s with prestige dramas like The Sopranos and continuing now through the digital-first series boom with shows like BoJack Horseman or Stranger Things. All of this is to say that there has probably never been a better time to be someone who watches TV. And I love TV for a lot of the same reasons I love a good novel. The extended length gives you the time to really get acquainted with a cast of characters and a world, which is something you don't always have the luxury of doing in a film because of their limited running time. But when done right, TV can easily rival great cinema. So whether you're looking for something you can watch an episode at a time, or you want something that you can binge over the weekend, I am here for you. So stay tuned to learn about 4 great TV series that you can watch for free through the Harris County Public Library. So let's get started. When we talk about great TV, there are some series that just come up over and over. And I think you can actually learn a lot about a person by what their favorite prestige TV series is. Which is why, in a discussion of great TV, there is really only one place that I can start this video off, and that place is Twin Peaks. There's a good chance that you've heard of Twin Peaks. Whether you remember when it initially aired back in 1990, you remember when its surprise 3rd season aired back in 2017, or you've been hounded by a super fan of it like myself in the years in between. But if you've somehow managed to dodge it up until this point in time, consider this your sign to finally watch it. Twin Peaks is a lot of things, but at its heart it is a murder mystery. Laura Palmer, the golden girl of the small logging town of Twin Peaks, Washington, is brutally murdered. The local police find themselves out of their depth, so they call in the big guns in the form of FBI Special Agent Dale Cooper, who is played by a sprightly and painfully earnest Kyle MacLachlan. From this central point, Twin Peaks spins out to cover a frankly startling amount of styles and genres, from dynasty-style primetime soap, to occult horror, to slapstick comedy, to teen drama, to some things that are just uniquely Twin Peaks. And a lot of this can be attributed to showrunner David Lynch, who brings his singular vision to this essentially primetime thriller series to make it something that has endured now for 30 plus years. You can find Twin Peaks imitators everywhere, from the CW teen drama Riverdale to the Disney animated series Gravity Falls, but nobody does Twin Peaks like Lynch. If you like anything about TV from essentially any genre, then I can guarantee you will love at least part of Twin Peaks, if not all of it. So I really could not recommend this more highly. Watch it, and then you'll be left to proselytize it for the next 30 years, like so many fans have. You can check out Twin Peaks on DVD from the Harris County Public Library. There are some moments in history that seem to just stick out in our collective imaginations, and few incidents have haunted us quite like the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. And this is understandable. The meltdown and explosion of a nuclear power plant in Pripyat, Ukraine in April of 1986 is the kind of tragedy so terrible and incomprehensible that it seems almost impossible to rationalize how and why it could happen, which is why Chernobyl, the 2019 miniseries from showrunner Craig Mazin, is such an important work. Although Chernobyl is technically historical fiction, it is based extensively on several first-hand accounts of survivors of the accident, which have been compiled and condensed into 5-hour-long episodes. The series centers on Valery Legasov, a real-life nuclear scientist who was brought in to assist with the cleanup efforts following the accident. Legasov's intense and in-depth understanding of nuclear physics consistently comes into conflict with Soviet officials who are convinced that this is not actually a problem and are intent on sweeping it under the rug. This is particularly wrenching with the benefit of hindsight. As viewers from the present moment, we know exactly how bad all of it gets, which is why seeing as these events are consistently undermined in importance makes it really unsettling to watch. And that anxiety does occasionally bridge the gap into being genuine horror. The first episode of the series follows the events of the disaster on the night that they happened, showing us the devastating effects of radiation poisoning and really unflinching detail. Chernobyl goes some very dark places, but at no point does it feel as if it's approaching its tragic subject matter with voyeurism or exploitation in mind. The real tragedy of Chernobyl is how much genuine human suffering could have been prevented if people in positions of power were paying more attention. And that message feels just as relevant now as it probably felt in 1986. You can check out Chernobyl on DVD from the Harris County Public Library. If you've watched any of my other videos in this series, then you know that I'm a huge anime fan. So I couldn't go through this whole video on great TV without mentioning at least one awesome anime series. As a huge fan of the late, great anime director Satoshi Kon, I wanted to highlight something of his, and I've highlighted several of his films on other episodes of this series. But he actually made one anime TV series, which I want to talk about today, 2004's Paranoia Agent. Although loosely episodic, the events of Paranoia Agent begin when Tsukiko Sagi, an artist who is responsible for creating a massively successful mascot character similar to Hello Kitty, is attacked by a young boy on roller skates who hits her with a baseball bat. Following the attack, Tsukiko finds that this actually takes the heat off of her somewhat from not being able to follow up her previous successful project, which starts an obsession with her attacker, nicknamed Lil Slugger, throughout Tokyo. Throughout the series, a number of different characters find themselves seeking the relief that Lil Slugger and the sympathy from his attacks provides, forcing everyone in Tokyo to reckon with the kind of anxiety that would make anyone see this as a viable option, particularly when it comes out that Lil Slugger might not even exist. Although Kon made several more uplifting works in his career, in my opinion, he was always at his best when rooting around in the dark corners of the human psyche. And the episodic style of Paranoia Agent allows him to get into some particularly nasty nooks and crannies. Even if you don't consider yourself to be an anime fan, if you enjoy live-action psychological horror TV shows, think things like Sharp Objects or The Haunting of Hill House, you're going to love Paranoia Agent. You can check it out on DVD from the Harris County Public Library. Because my tastes can be pretty grim when it comes to things like TV and movies, I like to end these videos on a high note. And when you talk about high notes and TV, you've got to be talking sitcoms. Sitcoms are truly the bread and butter of the TV diet. But while a good sitcom can be complete TV comfort food, a bad sitcom can leave you feeling like you ate too much candy and now you have a stomachache. Because of this, I tend to be really picky when it comes to which sitcoms I will actually sit down and watch, but one that I can wholeheartedly recommend is Dan Harmon's singular sitcom, Community. You might recognize Harmon as the man behind the animated series Rick and Morty, and some of that show's madcap energy can be found in Community, but they are ultimately different beasts. The series begins following Jeff Winger, a washed-up former lawyer who is fired from his job when it is revealed that he faked his bachelor's degree. This brings him to Greendale Community College, where he is now attempting to get a legitimate bachelor's degree, but by doing as little actual work as possible. Although the first season is more or less about Jeff trying to get an education, things quickly go off the rails. By the time the show wraps up its 6th and final season, Community includes multiple timelines, a dictatorial regime from a former Spanish teacher, the human embodiment of the Subway sandwich restaurant, claymation, musical numbers, several in-series movie and TV franchises, and a whole lot more. What starts off as a TV show about a community college ends up being a TV show about TV shows. So if you're a pop culture obsessive like I am, Community is going to be exactly what the doctor ordered. I will warn you that some of the jokes have really not aged well, but when Community does land, it is some of the best TV that I have ever seen. It is a supremely smart sitcom that also has a huge heart and never feels condescending. You can check out Community on DVD from the Harris County Public Library. Thank you for watching this episode of Screenshots. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter so that you never miss a future episode of Screenshots or any of our other great online programs. I watch a lot of TV. There's a lot of really great TV out there, so be sure to let me know what your favorite TV show is and if we have it here at the library. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!